think by this time last year, after 4 Christmas Eve services and enjoying all the Christmas carols, I had lost my voice. I'm doing a little bit better this year. God's richest blessings to you this Christmas day. Got a question for you to start. You guys ever get chosen for something that you didn't expect? Think back when you were a kid, getting picked for the sports team, had you guys all lined up, you pick who you think would be the best for your team. Maybe in high school, getting picked to go to that special dance with that special someone. Or getting singled out in a crowd, different ways that we get chosen. Well, I got a story for you. I was trying to think about how to put this sermon together for Christmas Day, and then sometimes God just has a sense of humor and puts one in my mind. So, 2 days ago, because I'm a guy and I waited till the last minute, I did some Christmas shopping. But I started out by going to the Jewel Osco right across the street, right down the road. But, brilliant idea, right? No, terrible. But I parked in the way back of the lot. That should have been my first indication it's going to be a really busy time in there. Made all the way to the front, walking through all the people, and I saw, as I walked through the front doors, the self-checkout line, which is the fast line, had already wrapped all the way around the Starbucks and was approaching the front door. I thought I'd be in and out in 10 minutes. It was probably going to be an hour, but here we are. But all this being said, I grabbed a couple of odds and ends. I got some steak for Emily and I. Our real celebration is really the day before Christmas Eve because, you all are here, Christmas Eve. There you go. It's fun. But I also got some bacon. We're on a breakfast skillet kick, of all things, which is fun. But I got to the self-checkout line because it's like that one will at least move the quickest, even if it's the longest. But I got up right in front of that little Starbucks kiosk that they got set up in there, and one of the Starbucks employees, he looked at me in the line and said, "You, I choose you." Turns out they can ring you up if you only have a couple of items or you have a little bit of food. So, me, I was zoning out, just happy to be there. It's like, oh, I'm going to be here for a while. He looked at me and said, "You, I choose you." Got me out of line. I was in and out of that store in 9 minutes. It was a good day. But I was chosen. Out of everyone in that line, he pointed at me. And in that same way, when Christ came down into this world, it was the first step God took to choosing you. Paul said it this way: God sent his son, born of a woman, born under the law, to redeem those under the law, that we might receive adoption to sonship. Jesus wasn't born to fix a problem and just leave. He was born for those who chose. He was born to make us his own. We need to understand the problem, though, first. Where we were before impacts where we are today. And if we don't grasp what we were, we'll never appreciate what we've truly become. Now, Paul describes it this way: when we were underage, we were in slavery under the elemental spiritual forces of the world. Now, he's talking about our condition that we were in before we came to know Jesus. And he uses this strange image that we were heirs who couldn't claim our own inheritance. Children who were no different than slaves. Let me change gears for a second. You ever been locked out of your own house? I got another story for you. So, last spring, my wife and I, we moved into a new apartment. Well, new for us. It was pretty decent, I will own, but we had family in town helping us move. But we went to pick up another new for us couch that we had gotten for this new apartment unit. But when we got back, we discovered we could not get back into the building. We had faulty keys. It was terrible. But we had to wait for the maintenance team to literally saw off the door lock to be able to get back into the building. All this time we had a dog inside. He was not that happy about this situation. But that waiting to get back in, the home was ours, but we couldn't access it. We were homeless at our very own home. That's a taste of the human condition that Paul is describing. You and I, we were made to be God's children. We were made to belong to him, to live in his home, to enjoy his presence. But we were locked out, separated, orphaned even. Let's take it a deeper level. We didn't just accidentally lose our keys. We really just threw them away. We said, I don't want to live in your house, God. I'll make my own way. And then we found ourselves, enslaved. As Paul says, we're in slavery under the elemental spiritual forces of the world. What does that exactly mean? Well, what Paul is talking about is the religious systems we've created to try to save ourselves, give our lives meaning, the superstitions, the idols that we worship, law codes we just can't keep, spiritual powers that hold us captive. Some people were enslaved to the law, trying desperately to do every good command, but also failing. Others were enslaved to their own invented gods. We all have this God-sized hole in our heart, and if we try to push God away, something else just takes its place. What does that look like today? Well, think of a person that tries to earn God's love by being good enough, and they never are quite sure they've ever done enough. Or that person that spends their entire life at work to the detriment of everything else. Or that person who lives in fear of the things they can't possibly hope to control. These are all forms of slavery, guys, that we endure. Here's the thing, though, too. Because we rejected God, we deserved that slavery because we chose it. We walked away from God. We said we didn't need him. And then we've discovered we couldn't get back in the door. We can't pick the lock on sin. We can't break down the door to heaven. We're stuck outside our own inheritance, and there's nothing that we could have done to change that. Even more than this, Paul, when he wrote this letter, our second reading for today, he was writing to people who knew the Mosaic law, people who had the temple, the sacrifices, the prophets, and even they, he says, were enslaved. How much more for those who didn't have any of those things? The whole human race, in fact, was in bondage to sin. We were supposed to be heirs, supposed to be family, but we were orphaned. We could not belong to God. We could not call him Father. There's nothing we could do to change that. But there was thankfully something God did that changed everything. And here's what he did. When the set time had fully come, God sent his Son, born of a woman, born under the law. Note those two phrases at the end. Born of a woman, born under the law. You know, Jesus could have arrived just as a fully grown guy and been like, all right, let's get this going, and just saved everything. No, he also could have descended just like as an angel, like riding above, like right above all of our struggles, all of it. No, he chose to be born of a woman in a specific place at a specific time, into poverty, into danger, into all the mess and the vulnerability that being a human entails. John even puts it this way, that the Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. Or another way, the eternal Word who was with God, who is very present at the very beginning of time at creation, who created everything, he became flesh. He took on our human nature, entered fully into our condition. And why would he do this? Well, you can't rescue someone from slavery if you're not willing to enter the slave quarters. You can't free someone from prison if you won't go inside. And God wasn't content to just shout instructions from heaven. He came down. He was born under the same law we were born under. He experienced the same limitations, the same temptations, the same mortality. He wasn't play acting being human. Every obligation we had, he took on. Every commandment we face, he obeyed. Every consequence of living in a falling world, he experienced. Except sin, I should say. He never sinned. He was born under the law's obligations, not the law's nation. He submitted to what the law required, but he was never guilty of what that law accused. He entered into our situation so completely so that he could bear our sin, suffer our death, and break our chains from the inside. And that's exactly what he did. God sent his son, born of a woman, born under the law, to redeem those under the law, so that we might receive adoption to sonship. So what did Jesus do with the human life that he took on? Well, he used it to accomplish two things: redemption, then adoption. Redemption first. It's a marketplace word, which means to buy someone out of slavery, to pay the price that's necessary to set them free. And the price that he paid was everything. He didn't negotiate with sin and death. He didn't broker a deal. No, he paid the price in full with his own blood, with his own life, his own death upon the cross. The slave market's empty now. The chains are broken, and the debt on our lives is canceled. But God didn't just choose to free slaves and send them on our way. He didn't just choose to remove our problem. He chose to make you his own, that we might receive adoption to sonship. Now you might think, oh, adoption, well, that's nice, but it's not quite the same thing as being a real child now, is it? Well, I actually had a high school teacher. I went to a Christian high school. He might tell you a little bit different story. Now, he and his wife, they struggled to have a child for years. They tried everything, but it just didn't quite work out. So they looked into adoption, but for some reason that didn't seem to work out very well either. Things fell through, paperwork didn't go through, it would stall, and year after year they waited. And then one day it happened. The papers went through, and I still remember his face when he told us about it at one of our all-school chapels. This look of pure joy. He said something that went like this. It's that adoption is actually held to a higher standard than biological birth. Because once you adopt a child, you can't give that child away. They are your children forever. And I am so glad to have my son forever. That's what Paul's talking about here. Believe it or not, in the Roman world, adoption was more secure than biological birth too. An adopted son is chosen legally and permanently brought into the family, granted the full rights of the heir. No one could contest it. No one could take that claim away. My teacher chose his son, and my friends, God chose you. My teacher, he went through the legal process, signed the papers, he made it permanent. God sent his son to redeem you, to purchase you out of slavery, to make it legal and binding. My teacher couldn't give his son away, and my friends, God will never give you away. You are his child forever. And just like my teacher had this joy when he finally held his son, I am so glad to have my son forever. That's how God feels about you. The Spirit has been sent into your heart, the Spirit who cries out, Abba, Father. Now that word is not a singer, no. It's a word, it's intimate, it's personal. It's what a child calls their father when they know that they're loved, when they know that they belong. It's not a formal title. He's not a distant deity. He's our dad. You're no longer a slave. You are a son. You're a daughter. And if a child, you are also his heir. Put another way, everything that belongs to the Father now also belongs to you. Not because you earned it, not because you're good enough, but because our God has made you his own. John tells us, yet to all who did receive him, to those who believed in his name, he gave the right to become the children of God. Children not born of natural descent, nor of human decision or a husband's will, but born of God. Here's a question for you guys today. Have you received it? Have you become a child of God? Let me change gears again. I wonder what happened that day after my teacher brought his new adopted son home. When that paperwork finally was done and the celebration was over. When it was just a random Tuesday morning and his son woke up in a new house with a new family. Did he believe it right away? Or you just keep waiting for the other shoe to probably drop? You think, man, this is just too good to be true. They'll change their mind. I'll mess up. And guess what? They're going to send me back. At some point, that boy had to actually receive what his parents have done. Not to earn it. He couldn't. Not to make it happen. He already had. But to trust it. To rest in it. Wake up and think, this is my home. These are my parents. I belong here. That's the gift that the Holy Spirit brings in our hearts. John says, to those who believe are not born of natural descent, nor of human decision, nor a husband's will, but born of God. Put another way, guys, God does all the work. God births the faith. God creates the child. And what he's created you through your baptism, through his word, through this meal that we'll share here together, it's real. You are God's child. Now, some of you were baptized as babies. I was when I was only 2 months old. I've never known a time that I wasn't a child of God. And friends, if that's your story too, I pray, don't take that for granted. It's a miracle. You were chosen. You were claimed, adopted before you could do anything to earn or reject it. The question, it isn't whether you can make yourself his child. You can't. Before I asked if you had received, and here's a better question. Do you trust that he's already made you his? You're not his by natural descent. You put another way, you weren't born into God's family just because your parents might have been Christians. You're not his by human effort either, not by our human decisions. Put another way, you can't work your way into adoption. No one else can believe for you. But God's done it. God sent his son, born of a woman, born under the law to redeem you, to adopt you, to make you his own. It's the great gift of Christmas, that Jesus was born to make you his own. You are his chosen child this day and forever. Please stand as we confess.